Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, Democrats think that they're going to be able to have a blue wave in the House and the Senate. They're now delusional. It's all a fundraising ploy. You know, we had a little bit of a dooming session, not even a dooming session in the last video, but I talked about results that were not exactly the best for Republicans. Yet either way, Democrats are capitalizing off of them and saying that they're going to be able to have this massive blue wave despite the fact that it was one election in New York State where a lot of low-propensity Republicans didn't show up for, and they managed to perform in line with 2020. So now they think that they're going to be able to flip a bunch of red states, and they came up with the flippable 5. It's laughable. It's absolutely laughable. And we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about the big 4. We're going to talk about the states Republicans need to focus on either flipping or holding. Where should their time, energy, and money go? Because Republicans are buying into this narrative, and they want to throw money at Florida. They want to throw money at Ohio, and they just shouldn't be doing it whatsoever. So we are going to dive into this on the map. But first, I wanted to tell you guys about our latest sponsor over at Support the Second Coin, because you guys know it better than anybody that the Second Amendment is under attack by the Democrats, the liberals, and the left in this country. So what better way to fight back than to claim your free Second Amendment coin? It's entirely free for a limited time. You just have to pay for the shipping. It is epic. It is a great coin. And you can get 10 per person max, promotion to celebrate the grand opening of the website, and all orders are fulfilled within 24 hours on average. So, Mandela Barnes was tweeting about this, basically saying that you gotta elect the flippable 5 to fix the broken Senate by apparently breaking it even further. They think Democrats can have 55 seats in the United States Senate. That is absolutely comical, especially this cycle. Marco Rubio in Florida, again, electoral juggernaut. The polls have him up by a little bit. And Florida polls, especially the early ones, tend to underestimate Republicans by a lot. And then you have in the North Carolina race, Ted Budd up in still most polls. And even those early polls in North Carolina typically underestimate, once again, Republicans time and time again. Did it in 2014, did it in 2016, did it in 2018, well, not 2018, but 2020, and they're going to be doing it again. We know this. They're going to put all their time and energy into flipping states that are going to go red at the end of the day by close to 10 points. Same thing with Wisconsin. Mandela Barnes is somebody that goes out there, trashes America's founding on the 4th of July. He's a horrible fit for the ancestral Democrats in southwest Wisconsin. Johnson still maintains great support in suburban Milwaukee, in the WOW counties, in the Fox cities, etc. It's not going to play out well. They could spend all the time in the world trying to flip all of these 5, you could even say, but it's not going to play out very well. And then you have Tim Ryan in the state of Ohio. Do I even need to get into this one? Ohio is a state that voted for Trump by 8 points in 2016. The poll showed it close again. I believe the final RCP average was like Trump +1 in Ohio, and he won by the same margin that he won by in 2016 in 2020. And even those polls have J.D. Vance up 3, the same poll that had Donald Trump losing Ohio by 2. Trafalgar, great poll, but underestimated Trump in Ohio by 3 to 4 points. Now has Vance up by 5 with many undecideds. A lot of time left. Vance is probably, in my opinion, going to end up winning by close to 10, if not by over 10 points. At the end of the day, Democrats can spend all their time. J.D. Vance could sit on the couch and do nothing. It's not going to make any difference in the world. Ohio is not a state that is going Democrat in 2022 or maybe ever again. And then we have Pennsylvania. This is probably the Democrats' best hope for a Senate flip, especially given the fact that, on paper, a lot of Republicans in the base are not the biggest fan of Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz is going to struggle right now to consolidate the base. However, they put up the ogre, John Fetterman, who's 6'9", who endorsed Bernie Sanders in 2016 and 2020 in the primaries and is very far left on a wide variety of issues, has flip-flopped all over the place, and his only attack line is Oz is from New Jersey. And either way, the Democrats putting this guy up makes it a cakewalk for Oz, because all Oz has to do is consolidate the base. And recent polls, whether they are from Trafalgar or they are from the election mafia, have Oz within striking distance. Fetterman cannot get above 48% to save his life. Dr. Oz, right now, is polling in the mid-40s, and it shows that he's doing better than Trump did significantly in the Philly suburbs. He just has to consolidate the base. That's all he has to do. A few Trump rallies should fix the problem. Oz has been barnstorming the state. He's proving himself fairly well, and I think that he's going to go out there and defeat John Fetterman come November, probably by 2 to 3. And that's where the trajectory lies, unless anything else happens. Fetterman is benefiting because he's in the basement. You can only stay in the basement for so long before you get attacked for staying in the basement, or you can get out there on the campaign trail now and get attacked there because he makes Joe Biden sound like the #1 public speaker ever lived by comparison, because that's how inarticulate John Fetterman truly is. So the flippable 5 are not happening whatsoever. We understand that, and that kind of plays into the Big Four, because Pennsylvania is the first state on the Big Four, and it's also a state that technically is on the flippable 5. And you could say, what about New Hampshire? Do I think it's a lost cause? No, but I'm more worried about consolidating the 53 first, and then we could talk about New Hampshire after the primary. Depends on who the nominee is going to be. Depends really on where the national environment is heading. It's very possible that New Hampshire does flip Republican, but in terms of the Big Four, no, we'll put it in the flippable 4, but this is mainly going to focus on the Big Four, because these are going to be the 4 most high-profile competitive races, and Oz needs to consolidate the base, which I believe he is doing, especially according to the crosstabs of recent polling. He's expanding the base, one could say, but he just needs to get all Republicans on board. And because his opponent is so unlikable, his opponent is John Fetterman, because Mastriano has great appeal within the base in western Pennsylvania, across the T part of the state, I believe that John Fetterman is going to go down, and Dr. Oz is going to end up being the next senator out of the state of Pennsylvania. Now, if Oz is weak, maybe he could be primaried out. Pennsylvania has a history of doing that to senators more so than a lot of other states do. But either way, as of right now, Dr. Oz is our guy that we need to rally behind. MAGA Mehmet, and that is that. John Fetterman, we cannot afford John Fetterman in the Senate. Oz is a little bit of an unknown entity. His past is murky, but a lot of people said the same thing about people like Donald Trump, who had a little bit of a murky past as well. So do keep that in mind. So the state of Georgia is up next on the Big Four. And this is a state that voted for Donald Trump in 2016 by 5 and then was a dead heat in the 2020 election. And if you look at the trends in the Atlanta suburbs, ever since 1980, they are going the way of the dinosaur for the Republican Party. This is not even just a Donald Trump phenomenon. This is just because of the growth that we see in Metro Atlanta. Now, Republicans found their candidate, Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker is a star football player, or was a star football player, is a folk hero in the state, a legend. He didn't really campaign that much for the primary, but won 70% of the primary vote. The whole party in the state really consolidated behind this guy. And Democrats have one of their weakest incumbents on paper. You have Raphael Warnock, who only got by because of the fact that Kelly Loeffler was so awful, and because of the fact that Mitch McConnell dropped the ball with his handling of the stimulus in late 2020, as well as the fact that the Trump base was disillusioned with the GOP establishment and didn't turn out. A lot of people will sit back here, cross their arms, and blame Trump for this, especially in the GOP establishment. They are 100% wrong. Trump told people to get out and vote. He held rallies for Perdue and Loeffler. It didn't matter. At the end of the day, this is on McConnell and the GOP establishment's weakness. Now, do I think that the boycott was really the best course of action? Probably not, because they don't learn from their mistakes. It's not like they would. and we'd be able to, I guess you would say, get them to fall in line with our demands. No, they'll say, oh, it's Trump's fault. We need to move to the left. Now, but am I glad that Kelly Loeffler ended up losing? Absolutely, because it's only for 2 years and the seat can be replaced with somebody different. Now, with David Perdue, I'm not like the biggest David Perdue fanboy or whatever, but at the end of the day, he lost and gave Democrats their 2028 favorite, John Ossoff, who they're going to prop up to be the second coming of JFK. So that was a consequential election loss, but Loeffler losing is probably a net positive in the long run, one could say. And Georgia, I think, will flip back this cycle. I think it'll be close. The trends are definitely working against Republicans, but are they working against Republicans to really withstand a national environment that's probably going to be at least 5 points to the right of where it was in 2020 against somebody who is a hometown hero in the state? Absolutely not. Is Walker the most substantive guy in the world? Not necessarily. He is somebody that is not necessarily the most well-spoken either. However, it's not even going to matter. He doesn't even probably need to debate at all. And even if he did, he can't do worse than somebody like Loeffler, who would say radical liberal Raphael Warnock over and over again. And there are a lot of scandals that are in Warnock's closet that were not properly exploited by the Loeffler campaign, that Walker's campaign can easily exploit if necessary, but it's not even a requirement to win. So that's another state in the big 4 targets for Republicans to either hold or flip. So now we go to Arizona. Arizona is a state that had a primary that was initially supposed to be contested, and Mark Brnovich was the front runner. He couldn't get above 25%. He's a horrible campaigner. Probably would lose the state as a result. I mean, the guy couldn't even keep his head above water at 25%. Then you had Jim Layman, who came along, and he's just like a grifter. Basically, he ran a campaign attacking Blake Masters like Layman was some sort of unhinged, deranged Reddit tier leftist. And then you had Blake Masters, the former venture capitalist businessman, who ran a campaign on substance, had talked about a lot of good issues like, restricting immigration. He talked about that at length. He talked about, the deterioration of our culture. He hit on all the right cylinders in all the right ways. I'm probably the most excited for him being in the U.S. Senate. And they said he was unelectable, or that he was like too far right to win even the primary. But it didn't matter at the end of the day, and he got close to majority of the vote in the primary. And beyond that point, I think of those 3, he withstands the greatest chance to fight and defeat Mark Kelly. He's already pivoted to the general election fairly well, which again, he's going to need to win a portion of the independent vote in Maricopa County to win this election, regardless of the national environment. Now, people were upset about him because he released an ad where he basically attacked Mark Kelly for late-term abortion. People were saying Masters is becoming pro-choice. And I don't know where they got that from, or if they're just sensationalizing the situation. He's clearly trying to go on offense on an issue that Republicans usually don't go on the offensive about. And of course, he's going to change his wording for the general election. I don't think it was that big of a deal. I don't think he's caving. He's going to go to the Senate and be one of the most pro-life, anti-abortion senators probably in history, but he's framing it in a way that would appeal to a lot of independents, and as a result, I don't think it was that bad of an ad, or if it was that really big of a deal that he worded it that way. But either way, he's going up against Mark Kelly, who barely got by in 2020, is vastly overrated. Martha McSally was so weak. She was a flip-flopper. She went out there and did not attack him properly, tried to cave into him a little bit, and underperformed Trump in the state by a couple of points. Now, Masters is somebody that's got the momentum. He self-funds to a degree, which is very good and allows Republicans to focus more energy on, flipping Georgia or flipping Nevada. Either way, I think Masters has the upper hand, at least in terms of the trajectory of the race in Arizona. Now we go to Nevada, where even the polls are showing Laxalt ahead in this state. Laxalt is somebody who was the former attorney general. He won back in 2014. He ran in a blue wave year for governor and he came just shy. He lost by like 4 points or so, and the state voted to the right of the country in that race by like 4 to 5 points, which again, you love to see it. He's somebody that can outperform the national environment, and I think Catherine Cortez Masto, very overrated incumbent, by the way. And this is a state Republicans are targeting. It's a state they need to target. Laxalt is somebody that's already unified the base. He can now focus on, winning over independents as he will down the stretch, talk about the issues at hand, talk about the border, talk about inflation, etc. And he could do so effectively and effectively enough to end up winning the state of Nevada. And again, that is another state that I think is a part of the Big Four. I think it arguably might be the most red-leaning at the end of the day of the Big Four in terms of the final results. Laxalt could win by more than 5. I would say that Oz could win by more than 5, but at the end of the day, the base is pretty fractured. I think he's going to eventually spend enough time in the next month or two galvanizing the base, which again might be enough just to win Pennsylvania. It's kind of how Trump won Pennsylvania. The base is big enough there to get you over the finish line, especially in a year like this. But either way, Oz is probably going to win. Walker's probably going to win. Masters is probably going to win. Laxalt is going to win. And then we could talk about New Hampshire when the time comes. But either way, the flippable 5, no, I think it's the Big Four or even the flippable 4 if you talk about New Hampshire, because this is still a red wave year. They will never take that away from us, regardless of how much gaslighting they engage in, regardless of how many suppression polls that we see flying out of the RCP latest poll section. Either way, it's not going to make a difference because you're not immune from the national environment. And Biden is despised universally, and the national environment will be reflective of that at the end of the day, especially in these Senate races where a lot of the Democrat senators have been voting in lockstep with Biden's agenda unwaveringly. 100% of the time, almost every single step of the way. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.